Boruto Tubular Vortex Chapter 5 takes us to a flashback between Boruto and Sasuke as they're training together, and we see Boruto using a sword, and he's basically telling Sasuke, they're like, hey, have I mastered the Uchiha style? Look how good I am. And Sasuke's like, I know, I have nothing left to teach you. And the Boruto's like, whoa, I was just making a joke there, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you still have a lot to teach me. And then Sasuke's like, do I look like I make jokes? And Boruto's like, no. And then Sasuke's kind of like, in 1 year, you're a quick learner, Boruto. You've been able to learn and understand concepts really quickly. I teach you something, you get the hang of it right away. You're a genius in this generation. You know what I mean? I have nothing left to teach you this here on out. But that doesn't mean your training is over. Practice makes perfect. You know, you gotta enhance it and make your own way of using the techniques and the jutsus. It's not just you're a master now and you can do it all by yourself. No, you have to constantly put in the work to get better and better and better and enhance your use of the technique of the jutsus. And then as they're jumping through trees like they often do in Naruto or Boruto, they're moving and Sasuke's kind of like, now I understand why Sarada asked me to save you. And it doesn't matter that my memories change. It doesn't matter who I think is Boruto and who I think is Kawaki. What I know now and what I've seen from you is something that reminds me of Naruto and how he saved me. And now I think that there's something in you and Sarada together that's going to save the world as well. It's something that the two of you can only do together. And then we see that Code makes an appearance, and Sasuke is the one that scarred his face. He's the one who cut his eye out, and Code's like, "Urgh!" So they get confronted by Code and his claw grimes, and now it's Boruto and Sasuke versus them. Except Boruto isn't strong enough to face Code just yet. And so it's Sasuke telling Boruto, get out of here, I'll cover for you. And Boruto's like, Sasuke, how can I leave you? Like, we're in this together. And Sasuke's like, you need to get out of here now. And then he charges towards Code with like a Chidori on his sword, and he's facing all the claw grimes by himself against Code. And then Boruto's like, Master! And then we see that Sasuke gets turned into a tree after that little fight. And Boruto is kind of like, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll get you back. He takes Sasuke's sword for himself, and he basically goes like, I will get you back. And then we cut to present day Boruto with his hair cut off, and he's ready for the battle, you know? He's ready to confront and to fight, you know? And I think that's a really cool thing. I also just like Sasuke sacrificing himself for Boruto, and how he's not dead, but he is kind of like incapacitated at the moment with everybody else. So then we cut back to the village, and we see the other people that kind of got turned into trees. And we see that Moegi, who is Konohamaru's friend, got turned into a tree as well. And Konohamaru is like, oh no. And Team 10's like, oh no, our teacher. And then we cut to the Divine Tree woman, who is more than likely Moegi. So it's basically implied that Moegi, this Divine Tree, takes her chakra, or is what gives her shape, you know what I mean? That's where this woman, Divine Tree, comes from. So it comes from Moegi. And then Moegi starts talking to the other Divine Tree. She starts talking to the main one, the scary one that was like up in the sky or whatever. And then he starts talking to everybody about like who they are and what their instincts are and how they've evolved, you know? They're completely different than what they were before. They're not just going to go after the Otsutsukis. They're going to go after what they're emotionally attached to, or what they feel like they should go for. And Ada's also watching this being like, wow, so what those clawgrams bit into, those trees are absorbing their chakra and making these Divine Tree people. That's interesting. And then the Sasuke Divine Tree is kind of like, what are we? What are we to each other? And like, what are we in all of this? And the main Divine Tree is kind of like, that's a very good question. Hidari. He calls it Hidari. They have new names. And so he's basically insisting that like, we're different than what we were before. Focus on your feelings. Focus on your gut, your instincts, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. Focus on it, and you'll find a target that you want to devour. And so the main one, he kind of says, I want Uzumaki Naruto. And Ada's like, what? And then the Moegi Divine Tree is kind of like, I want Konohamaru Sarutobi. And then Hidari says he wants Uchiha Sarada. And then the Bug the bug divine tree, he notices that Ada is spying on them with her Senrigan, and he basically walks up to her. He notices it, like he can see her. He can see her using the Senrigan and spying on them, and he basically tells her that like she's his target, and she's like, she drops her glass of lemonade or whatever she's drinking in the village, and she's like, ew, you know what I mean? She's kind of like, ick. She got the ick from him, dude, and that's his target. So now we basically see that everybody is going after a different target. They're going after somebody else. The main one is going after Uzumaki Naruto. The second one is going after Konohamaru because Moegi and Konohamaru are friends. Then the third one is Bug, I think, and he's going after Ada. And then the fourth one is Sasuke's Divine Tree Hidari. That one's going after Sarada. So everybody has somebody that they want to devour. Then we kind of cut to Sumire and Amado working in the lab, doing whatever it is that they do. And Sumire's kind of like telling Amado, Boruto's back. You know, everybody's still trying to kill him, you know what I mean? And Amado's like, word, cool. And then she's kind of like, isn't that a problem for you? Like, I thought if Boruto dies, then the karma that you implanted on him and that you, like, developed into him would basically go away. So shouldn't you be trying to, like, protect him? And Amado's like, under normal circumstances, yes. But from what I remember, Boruto is the one that I modified when I worked with Kara, and then Boruto is the one that lived here in the village, right? You know, or Kawaki's the one who lived here in the village. So, obviously I should care about Boruto, right? But that's not the case. I know that Kawaki is the one that I modified, and that has my daughter's Akebi's DNA in them, so that I can revive her. And she's like, how do you know it? It's like somebody putting their signature at the bottom of a painting, you know what I mean? Everybody has their own little impressions, or like they can notice their handiwork, you know what I mean? Like, you know it's your handwriting because it's your handwriting and whatnot. So he's basically implying that like something's wrong with my memory, and I know that Kawaki, the one that supposedly lived here in the village his whole life, is not the one that we know. My memories have changed, they've altered. And then we can't kind of like take a look into, what's it called? Is it like a security room or like an observation room? And we notice Sai kind of looking on, being like, whoa, this is new information for me. And then he communicates that to Shikamaru, and he's basically saying that like, this is what Amado said to Sumire in the lab. And he's basically implying that he knows that something's different, you know? Kawaki is this kind of person, or has the karma in him that Amado implanted into him. So the story's weird, the story's off, and Shikamaru's kind of like, weird. So then we go to Sumire and Sarda talking about omnipotence, and how people were skeptical at first. They were kind of weirded out by at the beginning. It's like, yo, look at this picture, and it's a picture of Naruto, Hinata, Himawari, and Boruto. They're all in the pictures. Like, look, if Boruto's an outsider from the village, like, how is he in this photo? And people are just like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, they're more trustworthy of their memories than they are of physical evidence. And the longer and longer time goes out, the more and more they stick to it, you know what I mean? So it's like if I showed you, like, let's say I showed you a picture from your childhood, and then you were kind of like, I don't remember that day like that, or like that we went fishing or whatever. Like, I don't remember going to the beach. We definitely went to the forest, or we went camping somewhere else. And it's like, look, this is us at the beach on that day. It's like, you could have taken that picture any day. It's like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, that's weird. You know what I mean? So you trust more in your memories, and that's what the whole village is feeling. And then Sarda and Sumire kind of like gloomy about it. They're like, man, it's tough, you know, it's tough out there. And then we see Boruto show up behind them and go like, yeah, I witnessed my master Sasuke save me, so that way I could be here with you, Sarda, so that we could help the world, we could help Konoha together. And then Sarda and Sumire turn around to see Boruto, and he's like, I promise I'm gonna get him back. And then Sarda leaps onto Boruto, goes in for a huge hug, and is like, stupid Boruto. And Sumire is just standing there kind of like, oh my gosh, Boruto. And then Sarda's like, gives Boruto a big hug, and he's like, I'm back, I'm sorry, I'm home now. and they kind of have a nice little hug, you know what I mean? A nice little friendly hug. So overall, this chapter was really nice. I think we got a lot more character development. We got to understand like the divine trees, or the Shinjus, I'm gonna be calling them. We kind of understood the like what Sasuke's circumstances are. Where is he? What's he doing? We learned how Code got his scar on his face. We know that Amado knows that Kawaki and Boruto have like switched places, and he's like kind of confused with his memory. We also learned that each of the Shinjus and the Divine Tree people, they're like going after different targets, so that's who they're going for now. We also learned that Sai and Shikamaru know what Amado is saying, and like how he's questioning his memory, and how he knows that Kawaki is the modified one and Boruto is not, you know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to see everybody like process what's been going on. It's not so much of a pushing the story 100% forward. It's more so like in depth on what everybody's feeling about Boruto's return. Boruto showed up. What do you think, Amado? Well, he's not Kawaki, so I'm not concerned that if he dies. Oh, what do you think, Shikamaru? Why does Amado not concerned about Boruto? He's saying all this weird stuff. What do you think about the trees turning Moegi into a tree? And Konohamaru and Team 10 are like, oh man, this is a tragedy, you know? How do you feel about Sasuke being turned into a tree, Sarada? It sucks. Give me a hug, Boruto. You know, it's stuff like that. And I think that it's really cool to get like a little in-depth and characterization and understanding of like how we're going to proceed forward just a little bit. So I don't feel like there was a lot of like big moments as much as last chapter where we got the new characters. Now we kind of learned a little bit more in depth about them. Action was very light. We just basically saw Sasuke cut Code's eye and then charge into the claw grinds and Code. It wasn't really about, you know, it wasn't as heavy action packed as last chapter. So I feel like it kind of was, again, more focused on the characters. So that really boosted it up. What did we learn about like the overall world of Boruto from this point on? I guess we just basically know that the Moegi tree, Moegi turned into like the girl Shinju, the girl divine tree, and that's where their chakra kind of like bleeds into them, and they're able to take on this personality. And then with that personality, they go after who they're emotionally connected to or bonded to, you know? So for Hidari, who's Sasuke's, he would go after Sarada. And Moegi, who's friends with Konohamaru, would go after Konohamaru. And Bugs, Shinju, who is like infatuated by Ada and her charm technique, is going after her. And the last one is like the main Shinju, the leader Shinju, I guess, is kind of going after Naruto because I guess he's the nine-tailed beast, you know, the nine-tailed fox, you know what I mean? So that's why he's going after him. And it's bringing up some questions of like, oh snap, if he goes after Naruto, then it's going to bring up some weird questions. It's going to be really funny to see. And then the ending was really nice. I think it was kind of like a sweet ending, not so much like a hype ending. It was like more of a nice ending. I feel like it kind of concluded a nice little like, you know, a nice little moment where it's like he showed up in the village and now he's coming back to talk to her and they can have a discussion about what they're facing together. And I think that's really sweet. It was a nice ending. So really, really nice. Overall, this chapter, I give it like a 7.5 overall. I thought it was really good. I like learning about the characters, but because it like didn't push the story forward or whatnot, I feel like it was more so like, let's get to know everybody and what they feel and how they process what's going on in the village. So I like that. I do like that. So 7.5. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah.